Alright, let's get started. So, we've got a podcast for you guys. My name's Nathan, and this is a podcast on the link between the recent allergy spike in the world and genetically modified food. So, here we go. We are going to start with the 5 things that happens when you ingest genetically modified food. There are 5 points in digestion that are harmed by the genetically modifying proteins and chemicals in GMO foods. These are intestinal permeability, imbalanced gut bacterial, immune activation and allergic response, impaired digestion, and damage to the intestinal wall. A little breakdown on each of these. Intestinal permeability is the ability for the intestines to flex to accommodate the chyme coming into it and for it to absorb water, while unwanted substances are not absorbed. Secondly, we've got gut bacteria. An imbalance in gut bacteria, either an increase in harmful or decrease in beneficial gut bacteria, can hinder your ability to digest food, or potentially, in severe cases, lead to stomach ulcers and occasionally internal bleeding and, in rare occasions, death. But you shouldn't have anything to worry about. Third, allergic reaction and immune activation. This is the ability for the body's immune system to recognize a foreign entity that is harmful to the body and destroy it, which may lead to cells nearby becoming inflamed or agitated, while this causes itching, redness, secretions, and in severe cases, severe life-threatening condition, in which the cells in the esophagus become red and irritated and swell, causing asphyxiation and untreated death. This here is the primary focus on this podcast, and the other points will be touched on slightly, while this is going to be the area that's primarily impacting the majority of this podcast. Next up, impaired digestion, the ability or inability, moreover, and slightly hindered ability for the bacteria in the gut to digest food. An example of this would be like lactose intolerance or gluten intolerance. Most people also will notice that sometimes when they eat corn, it will not be digested, and they will find corn nuggets in the toilet. So, most people will have, if not all, a fiber intolerance, which is what corn is mostly made of, fiber. Finally, damage to the intestinal wall and stomach lining caused by chemical pesticides that rupture insect cells also have been found to rupture human cells. This chemical is undigestible, meaning it will pass all the way through the body, causing scoring, ulcers, and internal bleeding along the stomach, esophagus, and intestinal walls. So, concerning allergies. Allergies are increasing. They affect as many as 30% of adults and 40% of children. Allergic disease, including asthma, is the 5th leading chronic disease in the U.S. in people of all ages. This means that 3 in 10 adults and 2 in 5 kids will suffer from some sort of allergy of varying degrees of severity, ranging between just having seasonal allergies. Oh goodness, I'm sorry. Pardon that. Anyway, ranging from mild seasonal allergies, such as pollen, dust, dander, to allergies to medication such as penicillin or insulin, to insect sting allergies, and occasionally even allergies to common foods we eat, such as soybeans, milk, gluten, wheat, peanuts, tree nuts, shellfish, and corn. Those are the big 8 allergies. Those are the main food allergies that people have. Those ones right there. I'm telling you, 90% of food allergies are those 8 that I just listed. Those 8. And I can guarantee you that if you're listening to this, somebody you know suffers from some sort of allergies. So allergies lead to this condition called allergic rhinitis. Basically, your allergy reaction in, say, the spring. Say you have like a pollen allergy of some sort. You go outside, take a deep breath, breathe in that air, and then you sneeze. That sneeze is the beginning of an illness known as allergic rhinitis. It's pretty severe. It's considered a severe medical illness. It is the fifth most commonly prescribed, or diagnosed, not prescribed, that's medication, diagnosed chronic illness in America. Allergic rhinitis, the 5th most common. I know, it's kind of hard to believe, but hey. Anyhow. So, allergies impact somebody you know. I mean, if you're listening to this and you actually are part of my class, you will know somebody in your class that has an allergy to at least something. And 30% of people that have an allergy to one thing, that's 3 in 10 that have allergies to multiple substances. For example, I myself have allergies. I'm allergic to peanuts, milk, shellfish, soy, wheat, gluten, a certain type of grass, 2 types of trees, 6 types of pollen. I have about 8 mold allergies, 2 of which can and will kill me if I come in contact with any of them, as well as a dust mite allergy. So, there you go. 30% of people that have one allergy, just one. Well, actually, no. That's 78% that have one allergy. The other 30% have at least 2. At least 2. Anyway, back on topic. We've got some evidence linking allergies, the recent allergy spike, to genetically modified foods. This one is from responsibletechnology.org, and this took place in the United Kingdom. The UK is one of the few countries that conducts a yearly evaluation of food allergies. In March 1999, researchers at the York Laboratory were alarmed to discover that reactions to soy had skyrocketed by 50% over the previous year. Genetically modified soy had recently entered the UK from US imports, and soy used in steak was largely genetically modified. Oh goodness. Man, it's really late. I'm tired anyway. So, there we have a laboratory actually indicating that there has been a link between genetically modified foods being imported into the UK from the US, and in that year the GMOs started being imported. Soy reactions from the genetically modified soy, from soy in general, plus the genetically modified soy, had increased by 50%. So, this is the evidence from the next source, same site. Another study verified that genetically modified soybeans contains a unique, unexpected protein not found in non-GMO soy controls. Moreover, the scientists tested the protein and determined that it reacted with the antibody called IgE. That's capital I, lowercase g, capital E, and let me see what that means. Let's see. We're going to look that up. IgE. Let's see, what do we got? It's in a type of immunoglobulin. There we go. It's a type of immunoglobulin. That's fun to say, immunoglobulin. Anyway, back on subject. So, this immunoglobulin E is the antibody that plays a key role in a large proportion of allergic reactions, including those that involve life-threatening anaphylactic shock. A little reminder, anaphylactic shock is when the cells in your throat begin to expand from irritation because of an allergic reaction and can cause asphyxiation and, if left untreated, death. So, the fact that the unique protein created by genetically modified soy reacted with IgE suggests that it might also trigger allergies. Third evidence piece, same site. Same researchers measured the immune response of human subjects to soybeans using a skin prick test, an evaluation often used by allergy doctors. 8 subjects showed a reaction to genetically modified soy. But one of these subjects, one of them, did not react to non-genetically modified soy. Although the sample size was small, the implication that certain people react only to genetically modified soy is huge and might account for the recent increase in soy allergies in the UK. This means that people's lives are at stake because people do not know what foods contain genetically modified DNA and which foods do not. This one person in this test that did not react to non-genetically modified soy is at risk if he decides he wants to eat soy, but he is at risk for anaphylactic shock if he comes in contact with genetically modified soy. So, here's a little bit of background on me. I'm a proud supporter of allergic awareness and genetically modified food awareness. I personally believe that foods should be labeled for genetically modified organisms, what ingredients they have, if they are a common allergy, should be prominently labeled in bold print on everything, regardless of how obvious it might be. If there is bold text, you should read it. I mean, really. You read a title, right? That's bold. I mean, you're not gonna read a title if it's like just a teeny tiny little line of text, like zoomed out like 5 feet away from you. You're not gonna read the title over there. You're gonna actually get up close and see the bold title. Anyway, I'm straying again. Oh, my bad. Alright, this is the 4th piece of evidence from OrganicConsumers.org on an article about allergies. Scientists believe a protein's ability to withstand the heat in gastric juices may cause an allergic reaction. Some allergy-producing foods, such as peanuts, have the same characteristic. So, there we go. If genetically modified proteins have the ability to withstand heat in certain areas, like if you're trying to grow a certain crop in a very humid area like Florida, and it's not used to that temperature, you could genetically modify the DNA with something like an orange that is capable of withstanding that heat, and then since it's now able to withstand 90, 100, 110 degree heat, it's going to be able to withstand the 98.6 degree internal body temperature and not be digested. And this, according to this article, can trigger allergic anaphylaxis. So, I actually decided to get the official definition of anaphylaxis from WebMD.com, a site by doctors for you. Anaphylaxis is a serious potentially life-threatening allergic response that is marked by swelling, hives, lowered blood pressure, and dilated blood vessels. In severe cases, a person will go into shock. If anaphylactic shock isn't treated immediately, it can be fatal. The condition occurs when the immune system develops a specific allergen-fighting antibody called immunoglobulin E, or IgE, that drives an inappropriate or exaggerated reaction towards a substance that is normally harmless, such as food. Your body may not react upon initial exposure, but may produce antibodies with later exposures. When you are exposed to the substance later, the binding of the allergen to the antibodies can lead to the presence of a large amount of substance called histamine, which can then lead to the symptoms described above. Now, if you look at that definition, we've got a little familiar thing. Immunoglobulin E, or IgE. Need to remind you that we have immunoglobulin E listed in our second piece of evidence, the genetically modified soy reacting with immunoglobulin E. This here is overwhelming evidence that genetically modified foods are indeed not harmless and are a decent, if not primary, contributor to the allergy boom that happened on this planet between the years of 1999 and 2016. 30% of adults, 40% of children suffer from allergies. That's a lot of people. That's a lot. And roughly 50% of those allergies, food allergies that is, 50% of those food allergies result in anaphylaxis. 50%. That means that 1 in 5 kids that has food allergies, 1 in 5 kids that has allergies, well, hold on just a sec. So, we have originally 40% of kids, 80% of children's allergies, no, 70% are food related. So we're going to divide 40 by 70. That's roughly 6 kids. Of those 6, about 4 of them, 4 in every 100 kids is at risk every day of dying from anaphylactic shock from major allergens such as peanuts, shellfish, milk, wheat, gluten, eggs. Common foods that most of you will eat without batting an eye at. While some kids won't ever bat an eye again if they come in contact with it. That leads me to my final point. Epinephrine. Epinephrine is a type of adrenaline that will reverse the effects of anaphylaxis. There are very, very, very few epinephrine auto-injector companies, and most of the pricing on that is ridiculously expensive. If you have... It's just insane how much... It's just insane how much money these cost. And they expire after about a year. We have AEDs in every public location, AEDs in every school, every office building. But with 30% of adults and 40% of children having allergies Do you suppose that since we have one life-saving medical device in any given location, don't you think we should have another? I mean, really, AEDs are not going to stop anaphylaxis. The only thing that's going to stop anaphylaxis is an EpiPen. So, it should be, by that logic, that we also have EpiPens within a minute of any public location, as there have been many cases of children, teens, and adults dying because they didn't have any epinephrine auto-injectors within a local site. For example, there was this one family about 2 months ago that has a favored pancake joint, yet their son has a peanut allergy, and he has had history of anaphylaxis. This restaurant does serve pancakes made with peanut butter, so since the family was coming and they knew, they made sure to wipe down all the tables especially well, made sure to wipe down all the plates and all the cookware, but because they did not have any epinephrine auto-injectors, though they did attempt to make the proper preparations, they still did not do a thorough enough job, and the kid ended up having pancakes contaminated with peanuts, and he ended up going into anaphylactic shock and died the following morning. Allergies are a big problem, and genetically modified foods are a good contributor to what we've got going on in the world right now. These genetically modified foods, they're kind of making a impact in the world, making it kind of easier for people to be able to eat. But at the same time, though they're making it a little bit easier for people to eat, they're making it a lot harder for other people to live. That will be all for today. I hope I've at least raised a little bit of awareness. If I've done that, then I've done my job. I hope you all have a good night, or a good day, whenever you're listening. And I hope that somebody hears this that will actually help to make a little bit of difference. Alright? So yeah, from the evidence that I've presented, I can deduce that genetically modified foods are not harmless, despite what experts say. They are linked to allergies. They can, and they probably will eventually be linked to somebody dying. In fact, there has already been one report of a genetically modified food being linked to anaphylactic shock. There is this one batch of Taco Bell taco shells that was contaminated with an illegal genetically modified corn called Starlink corn. They have found that the genetically modified proteins in Starlink corn have been known to react with IgE. And this contaminated taco shells has, in fact, been served, and a lady went into anaphylactic shock because of these contaminated taco shells. The lady was rushed to the hospital where she made a recovery. The Taco Bell taco shells were recovered and recalled, discarded, and no lawsuits were filed. So yeah, genetically modified foods need to be labeled so people know what they're eating, because these foods are not harmless. Epi-pens need to be in public locations. More lives would be saved that way. Thank you for your time. That'll be all.